Hello again everybody and welcome back to Will Does Magic. My name is Will. I hope you're all having a magical day. Today we're going back to basic with a couple of color and card changes. We're doing the Erdnase, however you pronounce it, change. I totally butchered that pronunciation, I know, but you know what I mean, and it's in the title and in the thumbnail. So the Erdnase change, please let me know how you pronounce it because I have no idea, guys. I actually didn't know the name of this change or the slide until about 2 weeks ago when I figured I would look it up to do a tutorial for it, and I just called it the palm change for me for ages. So I learned something new. Hopefully you learned something new. The reason we're doing this tutorial is because a few of the upcoming videos will have this sleight of hand in them. So I thought it'd be good timing now to kind of produce a full in-depth tutorial for you guys so you can get a couple weeks to learn it before you actually put it into action in the performances of other tricks. As always, if you like the video, show it by hitting the like button, comment on what you guys want to see next on this channel, and if it's the first time you're seeing me, hit that magic up subscribe button. But enough talking, let's get into the performance and tutorial of the Erdnase change. So, as I said, guys, the Erdnase, I'm gonna say Erdnase or Erdnase, you guys just gotta have to live with it right now. But it is basically a card change where you take one card, you can flutter your hand over it, you can kind of just spread it and it changes. Now, it is a bit angle sensitive, so just bear that in mind, but it does the job a lot of the times. So you just saw how it could be performed. I'll do it again. You can pick any card, wave your hand magically above it, you can kind of slide it, and then it magically switches. Now, as you can see, it uses a very simple principle that is going to be you're using the palm of your hand, and we're going to go over exactly where you put the cards depending on what you feel for it. But the most important thing, I believe, is that you try to make it look as smooth and natural your movement as possible. So we'll go from the back of the deck just to make it a lot easier because we'll have a few more cards to go through. But you want to start off by holding the deck in a dealer's grip, preferably 3 fingers on the side, 1 in front, and the whole length of your thumb to the other side. You want to grab your hand, and you're going to use 2 parts. You're going to use the bottom of your fingers and the bottom of your palm slash, I use a bit more in hand, but a lot of people use the back part. You can use either one depending on how you feel and how much you're moving your hand. You also want to make sure that you kind of curl your hand a bit, so you want to have a curve. That way, if you're pushing down here, the bottom of your hand lifts up, and vice versa. If you push down here, the top of your hand lifts up. So on the deck, it will look like this. You push down here, the bottom pops up. You push down here, the top pops up. Now the reason why we're doing this is because we're going to hold the deck, as I said, in the grip, and then we're going to first of all push the first card up a bit from the rest of the deck. Now what that does, it creates a single piece of card underneath that we're then going to grab on by the bottom half of your hand, pulling it out completely, and then shifting it on top. That is the basic movement. So your hand comes in, you use that top part of the hand to push that card up, you swift your hand back, use that bottom part of your hand to grab that card out, and then you, in one motion, pull it back on top. That is the basic principle of how you're going to do this slide. Now, there's a few things to think about while you're doing this. First of all, it's your fingers. I usually have a problem with my ring and pinky spreading too much while I'm doing this slide. So when I go in for the card change, I push it up, I place it down. This is where that area of mine is concerning because I usually spread these fingers too far apart so you can actually see the card underneath. So you want to make sure that you spread them just enough to kind of show, but not enough so that you show what's happening underneath. The second part is that you don't want to pull the card too much forward because it'll look too suspicious that something is going on underneath. You want to try and keep this, in this example, the 4 of hearts, as close to here as possible. Now, either you're really good at this and you only have to shift it up a little bit to create a little slice down here and you can pull that out. I'm not that skilled as a magician using the hand. So what I do is I use this hand that's holding the deck, and I put a bit of pressure and move this pack back instead of pushing this hand forward. So instead of pushing it forward like that, which is totally fine if you're a beginner, I use the back hand that's holding the deck to pull the deck back. So there's a difference in where your perspective of where that card is going to end up. So if you push it forward, you're going to have to move a lot closer to the audience, and there's going to be a lot more squaring up the deck in the end. If you're using the other hand, you can more move this freely, and in my opinion it looks a lot more natural and a lot easier. But you might want to start off by practicing only using this hand to kind of get that feel for it in, and then afterwards you can start implementing that other hand. That was a horrible one, but you get the idea. You start with one, you move to the other to kind of make it a lot easier. Now once you've gotten the card push off settled down and you kind of master it or know how to do it, you're going to start working out where you want to place this second card at your palm of your hand. Now, as I said, this varies a lot from person to person. I usually use a bit more of the front part of the bottom hand, if you would call that, but I know a lot of people like to use the very end. What I feel happening is that when you're pulling that card out with your very end of your hand, it creates a very long motion to get that card back on top and squared on top of the card that you're already changing. So for instance, if you're doing this, you push the card back. If I do it, I only need to slide it out to here. Now I'm ready to load it. That card is unlocked from beneath. I can push it off, square up the deck, and we're good to go. If you're using the back of your hand, it will look more like that because I need to pull it out so much further to kind of get a grip on it. Now, this all depends on your hand sizes, how you're handling the deck. So I'm not going to say that you're supposed to do one thing or another. I'm just saying for me, it works a lot better using this bottom part of the hand a bit more than the actual bottom part. But as I said, you can do it as or however you like. It all depends on how your hand is made up, honestly. If you got more kind of muscle or hand mass down here, of course you're going to use this part a bit more. Mine is caved up a little bit, so I can use this part a bit easier. Is it a preferable way to do it? For me, yes. For you, maybe not. So play around with it a bit to just see kind of where you want to place that card when you're doing that change. Now, to perform this, I've always talked about how it's supposed to look natural. You want to everything look as natural as possible. So the final part of this trick is squaring the deck up together again, because once or twice in this part you're going to end up having a card push forward, a card push backwards, and you want to have them end up at the same space. So that's why I like to hold it in this grip, because we're going to use this index finger that's holding the deck to kind of square up those cards afterwards. So you do the change however you like. If you want to push it off or push this hand back, you do that first. Now that puts the card off center. You use your hand to pull it out. Now you're set in this position, which is very awkward if you're not covering it up. But using your dominant hand, you can always push this card back into that square position. However, you need to get the card that you're changing back as well by pushing it down. Once you're set right here, you can do some kind of slide off, or if you want to do the other way, or if you want to act like you're taking the card off, but you want to end up in this squared position once again. So from the start, slide out, grab it. See, my pinky is already doing that spreading ping. Try to keep those fingers aligned. Square up and remove. So very simple, kind of 4 steps. You got the push off, the pull back, the square up, and the reveal. And the more you practice this, the more natural it's going to look every time you do it. So the push off, pull back, square up, reveal. Once again, the push off, pull back, square up, reveal. That's all you got to practice, and practice those 4 steps individually to start. So first of all, only do the pull off. You don't have to do the pull back. You don't have to do the straightening and squaring up, only do the pull off so you can feel how much you're pulling that card off. The more you practice it, the less area of the card underneath you'll have to use, which means that if you can do this very tightly, which I can, you'll have to square them up a lot less, which makes it look even more natural. So 4 parts: pull off, pull back, square up, reveal. All those 4 you got to practice, and I'm sure after a week of practicing this, you'll have gone to having no idea what you're doing to doing it pretty much perfectly. And then, as always, it's only practice to master this. I am a master this, and I've used this for about 10 years now, and no one's ever caught me off guard by doing this slide, and I'm not practicing it daily. So just get a basic feel for how you're going to do it, and it's going to look amazing. Now, that's it for today's video, guys. If you liked it, please show it by hitting that like button. Comment on what you guys want to see next. If it is your first time seeing me, hit that Magic Sculpt subscribe button. As I said, we will have videos coming up and performances and tutorials where this will be in the videos. That's why I'm doing it for you guys now, so you can have a couple more days of practicing before we get into the real stuff while actually using this in a routine. So make sure you give this video a couple watches and go over all the details that I'm trying to show you. If you got any questions about it, please write them down in the comments as well. And as I said, help this community grow a lot. We've grown so much in 2024. We're only continuing to growing, and we're trying to make the best of it. Have a magical day, and I'll see you in upcoming videos. Bye.